one of the big parts of my job, actually it's like the first major thing that I do when I land, is we go and if we have to rig a new boat, the first thing that we have to do when we're rigging, basically run a bunch of cables. So we're basically like PG&E or Time Warner Cable or something like that. And we come with our trucks fully loaded with all the gear, all the cables, tons of antenna cable, tons of XLR, tons of BNC for video. And we take a tour of the boat and we figure out how to get a camera, a microphone, and whatever other stuff is gonna live here on deck or in any other part of the boat. And we have to figure out how to hardline that stuff all the way back up to the wheelhouse, right up there where our video village lives, right? Where our decks are and where the whole show is basically being recorded. It's always up in the wheelhouse. So on any given boat, right, we have to figure out what those cable runs are. So here on the Time Bandit, for example, we've got XLR and power and BNC coming out of the backs of this camera and this microphone, and they're bundled up and they're running all the way back through there, through a little hole right there, and then I can show you cables come through that hole. We run them up along here, bundle them with all these other cables. We got power cables, they come down here. We got a connector there, which I would have to solder because it has to fit through tiny little holes, and we have to cut the cables and solder it again. And then we run them, here we go, down through this little pipe. Look at how tight that fit is right there, right? We have to get a bunch of cables through there to shove them down there, and then we got to go all the way down to the engine room, and then we got to run them all along the engine room. And sometimes there's no holes, and we got to drill holes, work with guys on the boat, and then we got to get them back up to the wheelhouse. And sometimes that can take 1, 2, even up to 3 days. On the Titan Explorer, it took us 3 days. The thing was a 4-story boat. We had to take apart the bathroom. We had to move the washer. We had to move the dryer. We had to pull wall panels off. We had to fiddle around, and one guy down there and one guy up here. We had fish sticks, and we were just like going crazy trying to run these cables, and it can take forever. And it's kind of unique. It's not something you normally have to do on a TV show, but that's a big part of our job. So hopefully, once we get the cables run and we test them and they're working, we don't have to do it again. That's the whole idea, is you do it once, and then when the show's done, you wrap them up and you put them in a nice little baggie and you label them and you tell the guys on the boat, please don't cut our cables because we'll have to come back and do this again. And it's a real pain in the ass.